Greetings. I am Ivan Pavlov. I was born on September 14th, 1849 in Ryazan, where my father, Peter Dmitrievich Pavlov, was a village priest. I earned my doctorate in 1883 in animal physiology at the Military Medical Academy and the University of St. Petersburg. In 1897, I published my famous treatise on classical conditioning. It is for this I won the Nobel Prize in 1904. Classical conditioning is a kind of unconscious learning, where someone is unaware of a transferal of a reaction from one stimulus to another. Simply put, it is the training of a being to react to an event or other stimulus in a certain way through repetitive conditioning. How did I discover classical conditioning, you ask? Hmm. Well, I was studying the digestive system of dogs when I noticed that they would begin to salivate before they were presented with food. This seemed extremely peculiar to me, so I did some digging and hypothesized that the dogs began to salivate when those who normally fed them arrived. To test this, I began playing a noise before I fed the dogs, usually a metronome or buzzer of some kind. I did this in an attempt to get the dogs to associate the sound with the food. After this, I tested my theory by playing the noise again and realized that indeed the dogs were associating the buzzer with the food and began to salivate any time it was played, even when food and other stimulus was not present. Hmm, why does this matter? Well, I believe this is one of the psychological principles that allowed early humans to flourish. They were very good at noticing that one plant may make them hurt or very sick, and even subconsciously realizing that they should not be eating it anymore. This saved many lives, where otherwise they may have continued to eat this plant, despite it making them very sick and killing them. This is also significant because of how frequently we see evidence of it in the modern world. It allows us to make connections between cause and effect very quickly and innately. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Take for example, if your house had a branch fall during a storm and cause a loud noise. In the future, you may be terrified during a storm and not know why. On the other hand, take if you always get your ration cards. They don't get ration cards? What do they get? Take for example, if you always get your paycheck on a Friday. You may find yourself, even once you have switched sources of employment, being inexplicably happy on Fridays and not knowing why. Even training a dog with new tricks and rewarding them with treats is an example of this effect. You train the dog to know the stimulus of them doing a trick, rewards, in them getting a treat. These three examples are just a few of the ways classical conditioning can be seen in the daily life. Classical conditioning can also, however, be used intentionally. One can create an environment filled with things that are normally calm around, so that when they go to this place, it is easier for them to calm down or study or focus. Similarly, if someone has a phobia or a bad fear of something, take an example, anthropophobia, the fear of people and interacting with them. Someone might have this fear because of a traumatic experience when they were giving a speech and embarrassed themselves or something when they were young. If a psychologist has them speak to others in a controlled environment without this negative consequence of them embarrassing themselves occurring again, they may feel more confident and reprogram the bad classical conditioning of them knowing that when they interact, they embarrass themselves, and replace it with a feeling of calm when interacting with others. Spasiba, or thank you for having me here today. If any of you are ever in Mother Russia, please let me know. I would love to meet you. До свидания.